Hey y'all. So, I have not been on as much this past week or last week, I don't think either. Because, of course, last week was spring break, and so the teachers weren't sending out any new work last week. So, I thought it was going to be just like a fun week for the kids, and it was gonna be more relaxed because we weren't gonna have to try to like sit down and do schoolwork every day. And we just do some fun Easter stuff, which we did do some fun activities. We dyed some eggs and we did an Easter egg hunt in the yard. But it actually turned out to be more of a stressful week. Not for Fisher. Fisher had a good, like, regular, normal week. He's still been doing a lot better than that second week when he was getting really frustrated. So it was fine for him. I did continue to do his songs in the mornings on the weekdays just to keep him in that routine of knowing that on weekdays we do the songs in the morning and on the weekends we skip it. We don't do any school stuff. So I did still do his songs with him Monday through Friday last week. But other than that, we didn't do any other school stuff. But my 5-year-old was like, I don't know. I think he was just not having that routine and not being able to go anywhere. He started getting moody and like having an attitude. And we kind of had to nip that in the butt real quick. But we had a good Easter weekend, and I hope everyone else had a good Easter weekend. And so now for this week, I've been trying to get things back on track, back on our school schedule, and I was hoping that was going to help with my older one, with his attitude, to be back in some kind of routine again. And he's done pretty good with it. He's still getting a little moody and not wanting to sit down and do all of his work, which I think is like most kids right now. But he's definitely better this week than he was last week. So, last time I hopped on, I told you that Fisher was going to have his follow-up with a developmental specialist via Zoom this past Friday. And so I had my first Zoom appointment, meeting, whatever. And it went well. I was worried she wasn't going to be able to see him much because he was just going to be running around and everything, which most of the time the appointments are a lot of her talking to us about things that are going on, wanting updates from us, and her asking us specific questions about certain things, which is mostly what it was this time. But of course, when he's in the room, she can kind of see how he's interacting just in the room and how much he's engaging with us, and things like that. But she did get to see him a couple times. I was really happy she got to see him trying to do his ABC sounds, because he's really been into coloring lately. So my husband was trying to sit next to me at the table so he could kind of listen in on the appointment, but also trying to keep Fisher kind of occupied so that I could talk to her. And so he was kind of coloring with him at the table and started, coloring the ABCs, and they were saying them together. And so I pointed the camera at him so she could see, and so she did get to see him doing that, which was exciting. And yeah, I mean, nothing like huge really happened. It was, like I said, mostly just she and I talking about everything that's gone on in the last 8 months. I was really excited to share all of our early speech developments that he has had in the last 8 months. So she was really excited to hear about that. And let me see. She wanted to know about his physical health. Has anything changed physically since the last time we were there? Which I hadn't really thought of. I'm glad she asked because I had kind of forgotten about it. I I think just because I was so excited about sharing all the like progress he's made. But in the past, he has had issues with constipation, but not like it wasn't a constant issue. It was kind of like he would self-regulate, and all of a sudden he would start getting constipated, and we would have to do milk of magnesia to help keep things moving. And he drinks the Naked smoothie drinks, which helped keep things moving. So in the past, it was kind of like he had to have one of those smoothie drinks every day, because if we missed it, he would start getting backed up and get constipated. And then sometimes it would get to the point where we'd have to do the milk and magnesia for maybe like a week, maybe a week and a half, because he would just start getting really backed up. And then he would go back to regulating again on his own. So, but now we have not had to give him any milk of magnesia since last fall. I'd say probably not since October. He's all of a sudden just regulating on his own with no change to his diet. And he hasn't even been doing the smoothie drinks anymore. So he's still regulating on his own without the smoothie drinks, which is great. I don't know why. Nothing in his diet has changed. That was the first thing she asked me, if he was eating anything different or not eating something he used to eat. And his diet is 100% the same, other than we've been not giving him the smoothie drink now since he started regulating, because that makes him go more. So I've been not giving it to him because I don't want him to start having diarrhea and stuff. So if he does start to get like a little bit, seem like he's getting a little bit backed up, I'll give it to him. But really, he's like not drinking that anymore. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it, but yay. So yeah, and then we just kind of shared everything that was going on, all of his early speech gains. We did tell her about the issue we had with the hyper focusing on puzzles last fall, and that was causing an issue at school, but he was able to kind of move past that. And I guess the novelty of it kind of wore off after a few months. And she did get to see him coloring some at the table. He was trying to color, and she could see that he was very intentional about what he was trying to do, and that, you know, he had a plan. And so kind of all the things that we shared and the couple of things she did get to see him do, she told us that it kind of shows his level of cognitive ability, and that it's pretty good. So she's really happy about that. And she said, like, him being able to come out of the hyper focus on the puzzles and other things kind of on his own, which we also talked about how the novelty of like sensory things kind of wears off pretty fast too, which I didn't know really if that was common in the autism world or if it's like uncommon. I don't know. But sensory tactics that we use and that the school has used and that therapists have used, sometimes we find things that work for him, but then I guess, like I said, the novelty of it wears off really quickly. So usually after about a couple weeks, he's kind of over it and doesn't want to do it anymore. So, like he was at a point last spring, last summer, where he loved to swing at the park, and he would just sit in the swing as long as you let him and push him in the swing. So we got him this swing that we were able to hook up in his bedroom. And so we were using this like before nap time and before bedtime. He would lay on it and we would swing, and then he kind of got to the point where he acted like he didn't want to swing. He would get on it, but as soon as I would start pushing him, he would put his feet down on the ground and stop himself. So then it had been suggested by one of the therapists, the OT from private therapy where we used to go, that we try spinning him. So we were spinning on it, and he was liking that for a little bit. But now, like he got this for his birthday last August. So, like 8 months ago. And he really doesn't use it much anymore. Randomly, he'll get on it. And, like, if he's really tired mostly, like the other day, he got on it with his brother, and I swung them together for probably 30 minutes straight and had to make them get off because it was bedtime. And he was really not happy about it. But he rarely gets on it anymore. And then you can see the fish tank behind me. We got that when he was, let me see. I think maybe we got that last spring or last summer. I want to say maybe last spring we got that. But he's always really liked fish. And for his second birthday, we took him to an aquarium and he just loved it. So we got him this little aquarium in his room, and at night, of course, it has light on, it glows, and he would just stand there, and sometimes he would come in by himself, and he would just stand. We got him a little step stool so he could be up there where he could see it, and he would stand in here. Sometimes I think he was in here for 45 minutes to an hour, and we would come, get him out, or I would come just sit and watch the fish with him. It was almost just kind of like he was mesmerized by it. And then he's got, I'll show you, this fish lamp right here that's bungee corded to the side of his bed. So that, when you turn on, it lights up and it changes color. And it has bubbles that go up in it, and it has little fish and little different color balls that float up and down. And it's bungee corded to his bed because he likes to knock things over. But when we first got that, he was really focused on it, and he would come in here and sit for as long as we let him, and he would just lay down and just watch this lamp. For an hour or two straight, he would come in here. And now he doesn't pay much attention to it. He likes to have it on when he goes to bed. And I think part of it is he can feel the vibration of it since it is bungee corded to his bed. So I think that's kind of like a sensory thing too. It's kind of relaxing. So that's the only time we use it though. And then I leave it unplugged the rest of the day because he really doesn't pay much attention to it anymore. And then other different sensory tactics. He used to wear a compression tank top under his clothes that we started last summer. And we didn't use it at home. We saved it for going to school and therapy sessions, or if we were going somewhere that I knew he was going to be uncomfortable or anxious, like the dentist or the doctor's office or something like that, we would put it on. But after Christmas break, I forgot to put it on him his first day back to school because he hadn't worn it for 2 weeks while he was home. And his teacher said at the end of the day that he was fine without it, and she didn't see any difference with him not wearing it. So we've left it off ever since, and he hasn't needed it. So I still keep everything because you don't know if he's going to come back to things at a certain point. So I still have the compression shirts in his drawer, but he has not worn them since Christmas. They had the school last year trying to help him with his transitions to activities, trying to transition him to circle time. He was having a hard time with, and so they used the weighted stuffed animals, and that worked really well for a couple weeks, and then that didn't work. And so then they tried sitting on a big bouncy ball. He would sit on it and somebody would sit behind him. That worked for a week or two, and then he could care less about it. We have a big trampoline on our back screen porch that you've seen in some of the other videos probably, that used to be in our living room that we got for Christmas. And now we also have a toddler trampoline in the living room. So he's got one inside and then the big one outside now. And he very rarely gets on those now. Every once in a while he'll get in it and start jumping. But So he transitions from thing to thing often. It's like once you find something that kind of works for him for a specific situation, within a week or two, he's over it and it doesn't work anymore. And so she said that kind of speaks to his cognitive abilities as well, because he's not getting stuck on one thing. He's, the novelty kind of wears off, which is typical for a lot of, children and toddlers and everything. And then they move on. And then, like she said, don't get rid of it though, because sometimes, in a couple months later or something, they may come back to it. And, so anyway, so that was pretty much it. She does want to see us for another follow-up sooner this time, only because I had told her that one of my biggest concerns with this whole quarantine and the school being closed for the rest of the year is how it's going to affect his transition coming back next year, because he's moving up to a different classroom. So he's aging out of his current classroom, which he's been in for 2 years because it's for 2 and 3-year-olds. But he'll be 4 at the end of August, so now he's moving up to the 4-year-old class. And not only that, but we're hoping he will go for a full day instead of only about 2.5 hours. So, he's going to be out of school for a long time and out of that daily school routine because of this quarantine. And then when he does go back, it's a new classroom, a new teacher, a full day, maybe some new kids. So it's going to be a big leap. Of course, it was going to be a big transition anyway, but then, just adding in being out of the school routine for so long beforehand, I'm a little anxious to see how that's going to go and how he's going to handle that. But like she said, she thinks, he will adjust and he will be okay. And I know, like in my mom mind too, it's going to be okay. It'll be a transition, but, he'll adjust. So she wants to see us in September, whether that be going back to the office or another Zoom appointment, just to see how he is doing with that transition. So I was glad to hear that. We won't have to wait so long this time before we talk to her again. But of course, if I ever have any issues, she has always said that I'm welcome to call her and, talk to her about any concerns or questions that I have. But his actual set follow-up appointment will be in September, so only a few months away. So yeah. So that's pretty much it. Dad is still home from work because of his back injury. I can't remember if I mentioned that last week or not. But he was out of work for a couple months last summer because of a back injury, and he re-injured it, not this past Saturday, but the one before, so the weekend before Easter. And all he did was pick up his bag of tools at work, and he just heard a crunch in his back. It's not as bad as last time. Thankfully, he caught it earlier, and he knows what it is this time. The first time, he didn't know what it was. So he was able to call the doctor, and he got set up for a spinal shot. And so he goes for that, I think, this coming Wednesday. I think it's this Wednesday. So he'll have a shot, and then he'll have to rest a little bit for probably at least a week or two. And then if things are good, then he can go back to work. So I have had him home for the past 2 weeks now. So that will be another adjustment when he goes back to work and not having him here again during the week. And, I don't know. We'll see. We will see. But I hope everyone else is hanging in there. I just wanted to share and update how our appointment went and how things have been going here. it's been a little crazy lately and a little hectic, and we're all kind of off of our schedule, and we're trying to get back in our school routine mindset. So that was the other thing I wanted to mention too. So before spring break, school had sent home like a packet to work on, and it was like enough activities to get you up to spring break. But there was no they said when we came back to school, we'd have to turn it back in. So I was having him do all the work out of this packet, so that when we came back to school, we could turn it in. And of course, that was before the governor had decided to shut down schools for the rest of the year. And so now that spring break is over, the teachers have sent out new work, and they're sending it out by the week. But now we have to turn it in online at the end of every week to be graded with a pass or fail grade. So you really have to be kind of strict and on top of your school routine, because you have to get all that work done within that week. So, and then I am not a techie person at all, y'all. Like it's bad. I am so terrible with tech stuff. And so we have this parent app that connects us with the teachers for both of the boys' schools that they give you, a code for at the beginning of the year to sign up for your specific child. And that's kind of how you communicate things. So all of this communication for schoolwork kind of started out with that. But then now that we're turning in the work, they're saying you can't use the family app that you've already been using this whole year. You have to do it under a different app, and you have to have the code. And I am just... I don't know, I sent her a message and I was like, I can't find this app. This is what comes up when I search for it. I don't know if it's the same thing. I don't have his code anymore that they handed out at the beginning of the school year for the original app. So I'm just going to send it on the app that I have, even though they told us not to, just to make sure she gets it until I can get in touch with somebody to help me figure this whole other thing out. And I just have to be what it is because I can't with this technology stuff. I can't. So, wish me luck with that. So he did get all of his work done. I have to turn it in tonight. So I'm going to send it through the regular app, and we'll just keep our fingers crossed that I don't get in trouble for not using the app that I'm supposed to use. So, all right. Well, that's it, y'all. I hope everybody, like I said, had a great Easter week and a good Easter weekend. And everybody has been able to kind of get back into the swing of things this week, and it hasn't been too bad. And thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later. Bye.